Well, I got the kitchen cleaned up. You guys know what that means. Mandatory mess immediately. So we're getting ready for a rabbit show tomorrow. We get to take off to. That's where I sell most of my stuff, and I've added some things to my honey. Not added to the honey, but selling along with the honey. I've created a hand cream. I'm calling Bunny Balm because we had to do the rabbits. So it's like Bag Balm, only it's all natural products, not petroleum jelly. I've got my ingredients list here. Hopefully it's readable. So I've got 262 grams of beeswax, 455 grams of sweet almond oil, 120 grams of cocoa butter, 51 grams of lanolin, 20 grams of vitamin E, 420 grams of coconut oil, 52 grams of shea butter, 20 grams of honey, which doesn't really go into the solution well. I stir it quite a lot, and you know, some of it's getting in there, but most of it settles to the bottom. And a couple drops of tea tree oil. I don't want so much tea tree oil in there that it's going to burn a wound, but my wife's been using this when she tattoos the rabbits, and the tattoo doesn't get hot or burn. Sometimes when you tattoo them, you know, the ear will kind of go limp. And if you do that the day before the rabbit show or the day of the rabbit show, it's not real good. So here's one of my cute little candles. The other ones aren't out of the mold yet. I'm getting ready to pour a few more. But this hand cream has turned out pretty good, and it's selling pretty well. The candles are selling well. So the last show I was at, I brought in a pretty good amount of money, but didn't move that much honey, which is great. That makes my honey last longer, and still brings in revenue. So one thing that I did learn with this hand cream is it's got to cool down before you pour it. So the first batch I made, my granddaughter was helping me, and I had poured it in the jars, and she was putting lids on, and she said, "Grandpa, some of these jars are different sizes." It's like, they're not different sizes. They all came in the same bag. Well, they were actually shrinking and melting, and it was kind of crazy. So those mostly went out for samples to see what people thought about it, and they seemed to like it. So I made more, and I cool it down. So what I like to do is wait till it's just starting to congeal up a little bit, and then I'll put it back in the double boiler and just bring it out of that so it'll pour, and then pour it in. This batch I've got filtered pretty well going together. A lot of times I will run everything, the candles and everything, through these paint strainers, and you can see the junk that it's caught up there. You know, for some stuff it doesn't matter, but for a nice bright candle it does, and lip balm and things like that, you don't want chunks in. But the other is, you know, the light, really beautiful wax is what people like to work with and see. But I've got a bunch of this darker wax, and I made candles out of it, so there's some contrast. Well, it's a great call when people are walking by and looking at them, because they smell different. The lighter ones, which mostly came from cappings, are a lot sweeter, and the darker ones, which came from older comb, have a more in-depth smell, you know, like the inside of the hive. And so there's a big difference, and different people prefer different ones. I'm selling as many of the darks as I do the light ones. So don't be scared to use a little bit of your dark wax for some of this. I also made 1 pound blocks, and then I've got this little mold here that I just got at the local store. It's supposed to be for ice cubes, but it's a silicone mold and works great for this. And 12 of these equal a pound. So I've been selling my pound of beeswax at the shows for 12 bucks, And then if people want to buy one of these little things, it's $1. So 12 of them and make a pound, it's the same price. And having that there when you're pouring stuff out, you've got a little wax left over, you've got a little container to put it into. And then those are smaller, so it makes it a lot easier when you're measuring things out and you're trying to get just the right amount. When you're trying to cut, you know, 10 grams off of a chunk of wax, it's tough to do. But when you've got some smaller containers, and so some other ones that came with that same pack of ice cube trays are these two little shapes. So these ones are really little bitty. These are just longer, narrow ones, but it gives you just, you know, a little more ability when you're mixing stuff. So anyhow, that's what's going on tonight. Try to get this thing wrapped up before midnight and get on the road tomorrow to the next show, which goes till midnight.